All right, we are in progress recording. So I thought, because this week we didn't finish No Tantam Lifgam in the actual halachic part of it. We were doing all the background of it, which is such a fascinating topic, but we're not at the point really of being able to do Chazarah on the halacha, I thought, and which is really our goal here. I thought we'd go back a topic, which came up. Actually, it's nicely connected to last week's shir for this week's shir too, because the whole thing where you guys took a break for Rav Lenis to eat an egg before the fast, which I found very amusing and funny. The whole question about, remember we saw in the case of Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin, that if you use an egg, even though Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin only applies to min b'mino, according to a lot of poskim, including the Shulchan Aruch, if you use it to whiten something because of the chazutah, right, that is considered, it's not batel. And a question came up about whether or not this, like chazutah, whatever this is, the for appearances, using food for appearance, is that batel in general? Like what's the case? So I thought we'd look at a few sources around this, if that's okay. We're actually going to start, it's going to be our main text, and we'll see how far we get, and then maybe we'll do some text surrounding it, with a tshuva of the Sholem Meshiv, who's a 19th century Galician Rav, really great Rav. And I also, and I hope I'm okay in doing this, but not just because I found his actual, like he's covering a topic that's interesting to us, but I also like tshuvot where I find the Rebbeim show certain qualities in their psak, and I think that he shows qualities in this psak that I think are worth thinking about emulating and so forth. So, and if you disagree with me, that's fine too. But I will share my screen, blow this guy up, and then make it Yavni sized. That's sorry, Yavni, if that bothers you that I say that, you could let me know. But you're always the one who reminds me to turn it to 150%. So, so all right, we'll start this out, and there's gonna be a lot of extraneous stuff there that's I think really good. So maybe it's not extraneous, but I'll start out. Shalom b'chol tuv lehal Rabbani hamuflag echarif Mori Rav Yaakov Hertz and something Nero Yair, I think is his name. Yeah, Nero Yair, right? His late it's like Shlita, kind of like, yeah. All right. Michtav ta im kiddushay Torah masar li avicha, right? It's your letter. I got your letter from your father that had kiddushay Torah hayom. Achar chatzot, that's amazing. But this vine, right? Al din hatolaim anikreim. I have no clue. I'll do the Yiddish. Kan sinelen. I have no clue what those are. Anybody know? Please let me know. I didn't get a chance to ask my Yiddish experts. V'chol fabrikan. These are factories. May razlich. Right. So mehen hayayin, what's the word for sharp, for like liquor? Sraf, yayin sraf, yayin srafim, right? So I don't know. They're coloring. They're coloring vodka, let's say, with worms of some sort. Okay, this is the whole question here. Yeah, Jacob, you have a look on your face like you're.
Well, I was just fascinated by the yayin srafim as like word for liquor, or phrase. That's just cool.
Yeah, that's what they call it. It's distilled. It's literally it's distilled, right? So it's all right. And then this is the part I love, and then we're gonna have you guys pick up. Veshalto team, right? You asked me imutarim, bishavti liisur. Right? You said, is this permitted? And I said, no, it's not. Right? And you said, you wrote back, you're like, wait a second, here's reasons to be that it should be mutar. Right? It's like, I saw that you were spending time learning Torah. This is amazing. You wrote me back responses. Right? You had a chance to, and you'll see in a second here. Ashrecha in yeyigecha b'dat emet, right? As happy as if you can, your work, right, can happen with true dat, right, with religion. And in your, I think peddling, I think is what he means here, like a rachil, right? So I guess this guy is a peddler, a businessman, whatever it may be. So may your ability to look at God's Torah not stop, right? It's like I love this whole thing here. It's like I'm like, here's this guy who, I mean, he calls him Rav, but I don't think he's really a Rav necessarily, or definitely not an expert. He's like, you challenged me on this question you wrote and you didn't like my answer. And it's not like you're wrong. It's like, I'm so amazed you wrote such great Chidushei Torah. I got to read them. And, now you're going to see, he's actually going to reconsider because of what this guy wrote. And like, amazing. Look at this guy who works a full-time job and he still has time to learn Torah. May it continue. I love this. I thought it was so good. All right. Yavni, pick up. והנה הארכת הרבה.
והנה הארכת הרבה וטרם אענה, כי אני יושב קריאת חוצות, ואין לי לא פרי חדש ופרש רבנו תם, פסקי רבנו תם.
No, I don't remember what that was. But the next one I know, but I don't remember what that is.
What's the next one?
קרייטי ופלייטי.
קרייטי ופלייטי, וכמה ספרים הנצרכים לזה, והנה מה שהבאת מדברי הר"ן בתשובה, סימן עין, והפרי חדש השיג עליו, עיין בשו"ת נ"ב,
בשו"ת נודה בהודה, מהדרת נודה בהודה, מהדרת תנינה, חלק אור החיים, מה
שכתוב בזה, וגם אני הערכתי הרבה בחידושי ובתשובה, אבל אתה ידעת כי אין בידי כעת, וגם קשה עליי החיפוש, אף אם הייתי בביתי, ומה שהבאת אוקיי. Yeah. Is that
keep going. ומה שהבאת
דברי
Aminchat Yitzchak or Yaakov. I can't remember which one it is in this case, but yeah.
הנה אינו אצלי פה, אבל
I don't remember what that is.
something אני זכיתי בה מעצמי וראיתי, אבל
he told me דברי התוספות, right?
אני זכיתי בה מעצמי וראיתי בדברי התוספות סוטה ט"ז עמוד ב', ואני הערכתי לבאר דברי התוספות, אבל איני כעת בביתי, אמנם יש לי פה השולחן ערוך, ונדפס שם בדפוס מנקיש, פרי מגדים, וראיתי שהביא דברי המנחת יעקב בסימן קוף, והוא צדד להחמיר, יוין שם.
All right, give us a summary of that whole thing, if you can.
You brought some interesting sources. I don't have them. I'm away from my house, and I don't have them with me, or other sources that I want to look at. But I remember seeing them, and some of them I found quoted in the comments that are printed in the Shulchan Aruch, and saying to be machmir about this.
Yeah, I know. I found this part amazing too. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like he's like, yeah, that's good. I just don't have access to all that stuff, so I only have what's in front of me, and I'm going to do the best I can here.
Right.
It's just we live in a world where like Bar Ilan and Otzar Chochmah have made so many of these things available, and plus they're like if you live in a university town, they're with a good Jewish studies program, there are great libraries out there. Not in their world, right? Mm. And he's like, what can I do? I don't have the books, So he went. It's like I went back to the Tosfot, right? And I understood what was saying here, like and I did the best I could. So,
right.
Yeah.
What is the phrase kiryat chutzot?
I'm out. Like I'm out of town. I guess I think it's what it is, right? I'm like away. Yeah. So he's like, I'm not in New York. Or not New York. In his whatever the equivalent was in his world.
Right.
Where you can find a Beit Midrash with all these good sources. So.
Right.
But, okay. Good. Maybe we'll pass it on to Jacob. We'll come back around here.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to scroll up a little bit there. Okay.
אבל אני מצאתי ראיה למנחת יעקב.
I think it's let's say Mincha Yaakov for the moment. We'll double check because I think Mincha Yitzchak is the later source. But yeah. So.
Yeah. Mehad Amru Bishop. Musbat Daf Amazayan Aleph Nun.
It was
Inami?
it might be
Inami.
it might be Eno Nachon, right? But let's see, it may not be Inami. Yeah, so because
Hatam Mishum Chazutא, אבל לטיימה בהתפה ומזה משמע קצת כמנחת יעקב. וגם סתירה לדברי הקריטי ופלטי שחזותא הווה כטיימה רמב"ם
it's not Achalot Asura. I don't remember what it is there, but yeah, it's so Halacha Yud. Okay.
Kiyain Hamazug, Keta like Echad Yain Mehayain Chadash, the Usne Chalakim.
Yeah, I think it's Chalak Echad Yain, Yain Chadash, Usne Chalakim Mayim, right?
Right.
And Hahagot Mamoniot.
The Hagot Mamoniot, Lofatav Mikoro, the Ayin Arsha, so Parak Kolayad, Nasha Amar.
Mashakatu Bazef. Yeah, Mashakatu Bazef. Great. All right. So right. His general thing is that there seems to be, this is where I got out of this, right? Is that there's a place in the question of Chazutã versus Tam, that maybe you need more stuff to get rid of Tam than you do to get rid of like what the appearance. That's the word I'm looking for. And it seems like that's like what the Minchat Yaakov is implying, and it goes against the creative place who thinks that the two are equal, right? And the Rambam seems to think that when you mix, right, one calic of new wine and two things of water, essentially grape juice, right, and two things of water, that may be enough to kind of get rid of it, right? This is the idea here. I think that's what he's saying. I didn't look at all these sources, but the Hagod Mamoniyot doesn't have any, like doesn't tell us where the Rambam gets this, right? Okay, and so he says, and so Zida Maharsha. All right, fine. All these sources, but now let's see Olafioni Atati. So Isaac, maybe take over Olafioni Atati.
Sorry. Okay, wait. Where was I? לפי אוניית דעתי, ברור שיצא לו מכאן התם, משום חזותא, וצריך אגב, I don't know what this is.
בצריך עיון גדול.
בצריך עיון גדול, this person.
Hadat Mamoniyot and the Maharsha, yeah.
והמרשה לא הזכירו מכאן, ויש לי להעריך בזה, אלא שיש לי היום רב מאוד, לא אוכל לעיין. Okay, you want me to keep going or?
I don't stop there and explain. Just okay. So far he hasn't really helped us here, but I just want to. His process is so nice that it's.
Okay, so seems to me that he gets this here. We're talking about the
Rambam. Yeah.
It's this.
His whole thing with the yain versus and the water comes from Chazutã, right? That his whole proof of this is from the because Chazutã is a problem here. So.
But the Rambam says it's like Batel Barov, basically.
It seems to be, yes, exactly. So.
And we need to look at that or look into it more because these two other people didn't mention it. And I'm going to go on about it, or I should be going on about it more.
But I have a lot to do today.
Right now I don't have much to say, like I don't have much to work with.
Oh, I think she says actually.
Sorry, many people don't eat it. Sorry.
Yeah, I think he's like I got a lot to do today, right? He's like I've got a really busy schedule, so I don't have time to write all the answers down for all of this. Like that. There seems to be a problem in the Rambam here. Maybe it's about Chazutã. I wish I could explain more because nobody else seems to think it's about Chazutã, and so I'm just not gonna. I can't bother with it right now. So.
Isaac, I think you were confused. You were thrown by the word uchal, which you read as ochel.
Oh,
It's like
no.
uchal, like from yachol, not from ochel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will not be
yeah.
able to investigate.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more
Yeah.
sense.
Exactly. So, all right. But good. All right, let's pass it on to Alish, and we'll keep coming around here. We've got plenty more to do. Alish, take it away.
Sure. Was it? ומכאן, אומנם, אוקיי. אומנם בסוד וריחה מה שאלישע התלה להתיר, מטעם ספק ספקה, אולי הווה אחרי י"ב חודש.
אם תרצה לומר,
לא הווה י"ב חודש, דילמה חזותא לאו מילתא. Hine, okay, I should probably stop here, right?
Yeah.
So indeed, in the end of your words, you said that it's allowed because of feka. Maybe it was, so he's asking about the case he's writing about. So he says like maybe it was about 12 months. And okay, like 12 months, like a period when
we're going to get there at the end. The Shulchan Aruch in Pei Daled explains that tolaim, that things that are invertebrates, he actually says things that don't have bones, that after 12 months are like afra de'ara and are no longer food. Okay. Which is why, like if you have flour that sits for 12 months, you don't have to worry about the bugs in it anymore, right? It's there is something you may say maybe you still have to check, but like it's not a thing anymore.
I think we came across it once, right? Okay.
So that's the first one, is that maybe the bugs they're using, the toluene they're using to color this. He says we don't know. It's been 12 months. That's the fake number one. What's the fake? And so what's the fake number two? All right.
And maybe it wasn't 12 months, but maybe this appearance is not an issue, right? Or was it like
exactly?
That?
Yeah. We're gonna see this in when we see the Pri Megadim on this. Maybe Chazutah is nothing, right? The same way that we'll actually in the future we'll talk about Recha, smell, right? Smell is, we say Recha lav milta, we paskin Recha lav miltahi, right? Same thing. Maybe Chazutah lav miltahi, nothing. Right, it's just mere appearance. It doesn't, but from a Isser Beheter perspective, no, right? So if I color my thing with ham, but I don't actually taste any of the ham, and I can't. Maybe it's not. There's no actual mamashut. Maybe, although we'll get into that, right? Maybe that's perfectly fine. Well, probably fine. At least b'diavad, perfectly fine. Let's not say lechatchila is perfectly fine. So, okay. So he says hine. Maybe I'll just keep passing along quickly here. This is just how people don't mind. Yavni, take over.
הנה יש לי לפקפק, אמנם
לאו הכי.
אמנם בלאו הכי לצבוע היה
יין שרף.
יין שרף אוקיי, הנה יש לי לפקפק, אמנם בלאו הכי לצבוע יין שרף לכתחילה, זה הווה כעושה ספק ספקה בידיים. וזה אסור, כמו שכתב מגן אברהם, סימן תסמך זין, ועיין במגן גיבורים, סימן י' מה שכתב, וזה באורך, ואינו לפניי. But I remember where you could find it.
Exactly, but also I think actually that's a very powerful thing of like, he's like, you can't create a fake like lechachila, right? You can't do this. But he's like, and I don't have this book. So in other words, even though I memorized it, like I have it, in my head, it's like you shouldn't paskin generally without the book in front of you. It's like I think he's saying something really powerful there. Of like if you're going to quote somebody, you really should have it, or admit to the fact that you don't have them in front of you. At the time.
But I think this is also interesting that it's considering it a lachatchila, right? This is like a drink that has been prepared by someone else, and the question is if the Jews can eat it, can drink it, right? No.
Good. He's gonna get there in his next line. That's exactly where he's going. So good. I'll pass it on, Jacob. I'm just gonna go. We're gonna do a quick round here.
Al kain jai im atiro tam hatzroim shekvar nitzma'u, aval atir lechatchila kashed בעיניי לדעתי דברי הפרי מגדים נאמנים דבר הניכר לאו שם ביטול.
I think lo shnat bitul. Yeah.
לא ביטול במחלות אסורות, אך יש לומר כיוון י"ב חדש התולעים מותרים.
Good. Im ken, right? Keep a little bit more.
אם כן, שוב על כן or
Yeah, of course, probably. Yeah.
אינו ניכר האיסור דילמה הוא אחר י"ב חדש.
Yud chodesh. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. Therefore, it's like enough. If I permit the like things that were already dyed or colored, but to permit lechatchila is difficult to me because, to my knowledge, the Pri Megadim like are talking about something.
Yeah, I think the Pri Megadim are Nima. The Red Peter Megadim and Nimanim is like the way to say he's right. I think we should trust his words here. Yeah, our trustworthy words.
Okay, that was something recognizable. That it's not.
I think
different from bittul with forbidden food.
Yeah, in other words, lo shna, it doesn't matter if it's chazutah, it doesn't matter if it's tam, it's all the same ratio at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, ach yesh lomar. This is it's well, actually I'm gonna stop you there. I know you read it already, but I have to throw it to Isaac if Isaac is readable for the ach here.
Sorry, I've lost where we are.
It's like 3 lines from the bottom. Ach yesh lomar.
Ach yesh lomar dechevan deachar yod beit chodashim hatoda'im muturim im hen shuv al korchach eini nikah ha'isur dilmahu achar yod beit chodesh v'hamachashal tadad heter b'zeh aval ino barur v'ata tzalach rachav or something.
Yeah, it's not rechav. Yeah.
Sorry. על דבר אמת ותצליח בברכת הזמן כנפשך ונפש
I think it's Doresh Shalom. So,
okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So. So since after 12 months, bugs are permissible, like we just talked about, then he doesn't recognize there as being an Easter there, see it's mutar, because perhaps 12 months has passed, right? So I guess you have a topic about that. And the Maharshal says that you should be matir on this, but I myself I'm not clear on this. And you're super great, good on you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Like, may you do well. Like, maybe they even say, like, if you want to do what you want to do well, but I've given you a way to be matir if you really need here, I think is what he's saying. But he's not comfortable with it, though. And he's maybe also hinting him, like, if but tasliach b'ruchat hazman k'nafshecha v'nefesh haderesh shalom, like, I don't know, think about it, It's,
yeah, now I'm curious to know, like, in what circumstances do you really need to have this distilled alcohol?
That's a great question. I know it's like, is it a case where there's, I don't know, maybe it's the only alcohol available. Maybe it's what, maybe I can even imagine for business purposes, right? That this is what people are toasting over when he's traveling, it's or having business meetings. You can imagine things like that. It's so.
I wonder if he's traveling and can't find wine for Kiddush.
Also could be, yeah, lots of possibilities here.
Probably he could make Kiddush over something else as well.
Challah, yeah, a bread. And bread is pretty easy. Almost all bread can be declared kosher. Yeah, so juice for some things, for Abdallah maybe, it's But yeah, it's really interesting, right? And it's also, I think, actually comes up in the real world. Like, I don't know, like there's a lot to be said about alcohol and beer and so forth. About with a lot of them were really makil. Some other things that is, like in my communities that I live in, at least, right? People are makil about a lot of beer. I don't know how much, even like the CRC is pretty makil about a lot of it, right? I'm not sure how much people investigate this stuff, but these are some worries that you could be, well, wait, what are they coloring the beer with? Well, you're like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter. So maybe it does. But good. Yeah, this, I just wanted to give us a sense. As I said, I'm not fully with it today, but I think this is a pretty amazing tshuva in that sense. And I kind of love the humility of it and so. Okay, good. I wanted to see some of the sources in the background. I'm just looking at time. We're going to skip the. Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
So I've never seen a teshuva like this. That's like, well, I'm not really sure. Well, okay. Like I've gotten pesachs that are like that, but they're never written down, right? And I'm curious, have you seen other ones like with this sort of, attitude, whatever?
I definitely have. I've even seen them, I think, for Rav Moshe at one point, but but I don't think they're I don't know how common they are, but I have seen ones like that. I can't, recall one right in particular right now. And, this also, Isaac, this also comes down to an important question, and it depends. I didn't look at what the case is for the Sholem Eshiv, but it's not always clear if Rebbeim want their shutim written down.
Doesn't Rob Soloveitchik have? Isn't he the one who's like, you absolutely can't have that interfaith chapel, but nobody published this, and then of course you can find it in books.
Yeah, I think Rav Moshe, it's not so clear he wanted Igrot Moshe, are all of it published, right? I mean, these were letters they wrote to people, but some of it may be individual psak in some ways, right? It's not necessarily about, so maybe, I don't know if this was originally meant to just be for this person and somehow it made its way into a book of his, that he didn't intentionally publish. I don't know. Let's see. Actually, we can figure out maybe quickly. So I'm still sharing my screen. I need to move you guys. I move this thing. There you go. I move this down, and then we can find Bar Ilan here. No, that's not Bar Ilan. That's Bar Ilan. And let's see what they say on his. I pulled his bio up here. Hu katav chiburim rabim. Shemashiv hamurkav mishisha krachim. Bekrasno. Nodat kechibur bal smachot chati chashiva. He was an anti-Hasidic. He was misnaged. Does it say here where he? It doesn't. Yeah, I said for my game Ruim. No, it doesn't actually say where. Like sometimes they'll write in the bio like the history of the publishing of it, and this one doesn't really get into it. So. But you can see his bio here, by the way, also too. This is one of the nice features the Bar Ilan has. Yavni, you look like
did you say how you found this particular shoot? Like
Oh yeah, I can actually tell you. This is a great question. So maybe I'll do a little thing here. I found it kind of circumstantially. So Bar Ilan has this really nice feature called where they have these different shutim on different topics. And I went to Isurei Achila, and what did I look up? I looked at I found this one somewhere in here. I find it Ochel She'enu Ra'ui or something like that. I found Seva Adom Shenasem is Vuvim Mishtamshim L'Tziar Nikmek, right? And so there's sausages that they're coloring, and it was a Minchas Yitzchak, not Minchas Yaakov, different that they had here. And in that he referenced this tshuva. And I was like, and the mincha, I think the Minchat Yitzchak was pretty long, if I remember correctly. Did I bring it up here? Yeah, it wasn't so long, but it was longer and had a lot more sources you had to kind of get through. And I was like, that's probably too much for us to do today. But in there, I found this, and I was like, oh, well, let's take a look at this. This tshuva is a little bit shorter and kind of interesting. So that's how I got there. If people are curious, yeah.
So you saw the reference in there, and then you looked it up.
Yeah. So I think what I started doing was I was going through the Minchas Yitzchak. I was going through some of the sources he had in there, and I saw this one. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But there's actually two tshuva, if I remember correctly, in this one. He's got, this is only the one he's got but he is talking about the coloring of the salami, right? I love this piece. But some Adom Shnasem is Vuvim. So That's where I got it from. People were curious. So this will now be forever on YouTube. You can see the record of my doing this, my thought process. So yeah, it's a great tool. There are other ways to do things, by the way, if you want to look in Shayla's, right? Other books out there that list Shutim and so forth. Also something worth doing if you have a collection, like my collection of Igrot Moshe, in the back you can go, like references in the Shulchan Aruch, and so you can go and kind of try to like cross-reference things and see if you wrote something about a particular topic. I don't know of anybody who ever like wrote a nice collection of like going through the Shulchan Aruch of like, but I mean, we have, right? Obviously, we for older Achronim, but for like the really modern stuff in the 20th century, I don't know if anyone, 19th, 20th century, I don't know if anyone does that. So, but,
it sounds like that's a new Sefaria collection and annotation you could do.
It would be a really interesting one for them to do, actually. Yeah, I don't know how many. I don't use Safari as much as maybe I should, and I don't know how good they are in Shutim on there.
For every, at least my experience is that for everything beyond sort of like the standard stuff for like Rishonim and some like basic Acharonim, they don't have a lot more other than some like weird random translations that they've gotten like permission for, things like that, so yeah, I mean they're still working on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is right. Bar Ilan Shoot Project, really, it has an incredible, as the name implies, has an incredible collection of Shutim on it. So it's what makes it, and I do pay for the subscription every year, which is my I mean, I kind of make, it's what I do for a living, is I teach stuff like this. So it's helpful to me. All right, good. I wanted to look now the Pri Megadim. If you go to Siman Kuf in the Shulchan Aruch, the Pri Megadim, which I know people know the Pri Megadim, right? He's on both Orach Chaim and Yoreh De'ah, I believe, right? It's an incredible Perush where he takes the major Nosei Kelim. He's got a Perush on each of them. So it's the Magen Avraham and the Taz in Orach Chaim, the Taz and the Shach in Yoreh De'ah. And he's got clever names for both of them. But if you remember Siman Kuf in the Shulchan Aruch was the beginning of things that are not batel, right? That was the beginning. And in the beginning of it, he lists the different things that are not batel, right? Birya, Devar Shebinyan, Yesh Lamatirin, all that stuff that we've been doing. And then he had some other things that are possibly there. And one of them he talked about is Chazutã, right? Is the appearance, the visage. So I thought we would look at really the first and last paragraph he has on that, which will help with kind of, in the middle of it, he goes into the whole kind of, nuts and bolts of, the pillful of this. But from a time perspective, I thought this would be helpful for all this. And the Pri Megadim, of course, was quoted by this tshuva in the Sholem Meshiv. See, Yavni, who just read? I don't remember. Alice, you're going to start. I've decided. But you're on mute there.
Yeah, I just unmuted myself. Okay, אמנם חזותא יש בו מחלוקת גדולה כמו שעבר. המנחת כהן כתב דהווי דרבנן אין שם. ובפרק, is it
Gimel, I think. Yeah, maybe.
Gimel?
Or maybe,
Okay.
no, maybe some other source. Yeah. Yeah.
באר דווקא דעשוי ליתן מראה, אבל אינו עשוי לכך לא.
Yayan Sham.
Okay. Okay, I'll translate. So indeed, there is a big machloket about Chazutã, as I will explain. Minchat Kohen wrote that it's Isur de Rabbanan. Look there.
And I think it's Perek Gimel. Yeah, I think it's Perek Aleph. He wrote that, and Perek Gimel.
And in Perek Gimel, he explained that it's Dafka when it like makes the color, when it colors something.
When it's made to give it.
It's made.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The asui liten ma'eh. Okay. So if it's something which gives a color, which colors it, which is made for that, but if it's not made for that, then it's not chazutã. Then we cannot include it into the isur.
Exactly. In other words, right, I drop some pork juice in my soup, right? Just to make sure people might understand this, but right, I didn't mean to like drop it in, right? I didn't mean to give it, and it even though I can't taste the pork juice anymore, it still gives it some change in color. That's not chazutah, right? That's still batel. But if I added the pork juice in to color my food, or somebody else added it in to color the food, and then it was a b'diavad situation now, right? It wasn't like I was. That's chazutah, and that's an Isur D'Rabbanan, even if there's like 300 against it. So.
What about the case with the neck? Because we had the Malbin, right?
Yeah. So that's yes, and we also remember that case of Devar Shel Matirin might be different, right? We saw this in Devar Shel. There's a good chance to review this. Devar Shel Matirin seem to like throw out all the other rules, especially if you're following Rashi, right? Because it'll be mutar tomorrow, right? So like, why eat it in its Easter? Like, why try to get around it if you could just wait a day, Which actually plays out really. If you guys remember, the Shulchan Aruch said, and this is like important. So I was like, something that's going to go bad. That's not Devar Shel Matirin. Right? It's like it has to be able that you could literally eat it the next day. So it doesn't have to be the next day, but that it's available to you to still eat in its fully heter state. All right. So okay. Ve'apri chadash. Oh, we'll keep going around quickly. I like this. Isaac, you want to take? Oh, I'm gonna flip it. Isaac, you want to take ve'apri chadash?
Okay. Ve'apri chadash b'siman kuf bet ot he hiskim b'zeh dechod lav avid lechazutah lav klum. So the Pri Chadash relies on this to say anything that's not done specifically to create coloring doesn't count.
So, all right, and read the next sentence too. Just give us one more.
Umashma dava inan avid lachach v'natnu ada'atad b'chach. Okay. So the meaning of that is that it has to be done in order. It has to be like done it. So like it has to be made to create flavor, and it also has to be like done intentionally to give flavor.
Exactly, right. If I have some like food coloring that Jacob, do you disagree with that read? So.
No, I was just appearance, not flavor, be technical by that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, sorry, appearance, not flavor. Yeah. Sorry, did I say? Yeah. So yeah, if I have some like food coloring, it also has some flavor to it. Let's pretend for a moment, right? And I added it for flavor, not for chazutah, and the flavor is batel, right? That wouldn't count as being made for chazutah, right? It has to be. Not only does it made for to give it a certain look, but I intentionally added it for the look and not added it for some other reason, Or so maybe I just added it to bulk it up.
So now my question is, of course, what if you added it for both, right?
Good. Is bulk chazutah or is bulk just midah, right?
Well, like you wanted the ta'am and you wanted the chazutah from the same thing.
Good. That's a great question. He hasn't explained that, but maybe, so that's a good question. Yeah. And okay, good. Now just to give you an intro to what he's going to get to next in Perika Gozel Kama in Bava Kama. There's a whole discussion about, I think it's like stolen dyes or something like that you add to wool, and the whole question about it, right, that goes on here. But here it's talking about clothing in particular. And so that will help with the background for this. Jacob, take over for us. The Ikar Hadin.
The Ikar Hadin Katab did the Bava Kama Perika Gozel Kama have Baya Dilo Yifshita. It was called Torah L'Chumra with a Rabbanan L'Hakel. So the principle of the law writes in Bava Kama, Perika Gozel, that needs that it wasn't.
Havabaya, they ask it. It was asked, but not answered. This whole question about Chazutah was asked and not answered. There's a lot of shakla b'tarya without an answer to it. And so what do we do if the Gemara asks something and doesn't answer? It's the next piece.
Right? So if it relates to like a Torah prohibition or stringent, so I guess for this, if it was something for Chazutah that was prohibited from the Torah, we'd say you can't eat it. And but if it was something forbidden by the Rabbanan, we'd be lenient.
Yeah, or if you said the chazutah itself was only derabanan, right? That's also a possibility there. So, all right, take one more sentence for us, if that's okay.
Yeah. V'minchat Yaakov klal ayin daled ot hey hikel beyoter de beged de kaima litzvia shaya chazuta masha in kan bechila de taima talia kol de ein tam chazuta lav milta afilum midarabanan batel. V'minchat Yaakov and Klal Daladot Hey is more lenient with clothing that
No, Kel Bioter, because he says that beged, which is meant to be colored, right? There chayuta applies, right?
Oh, okay.
Which is what that's sugya in Bava Kama. Like, don't learn from Bava Kama to food, right?
Okay. Yeah. It isn't
So
the case because that relies on flavor.
exactly, right? So therefore, chazuta is even derabanan has bitul in food, because food isn't about chazuta, it's about flavor. Right? This is actually a tension we're going to see. We actually saw. We've seen it at several places. Right? Obviously, the Varsha Matarim. We also see this recently in Tam Lif Gam. Right? What if it improves the midah? It increases the amount of the thing, even if it's bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm also just thinking.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, what's up? Okay, I'll get it to you in 10 minutes. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
I'm also just thinking. I wonder, in the past, it makes a bit more sense to say like food is not about appearance, but I wonder if more modern attitudes about food where there are like people think a lot about putting food dyes and things to make it more appealing for people to buy. I wonder if we would like evaluate it differently.
Yeah, it's a great point. So, but I don't know if this, a lot of fruits have waxes on them. Now, that's partially, I think, to preserve them, but also make them look nicer. Right? Yeah. There's all sorts of questions around those waxes, so I'm not actually sure if any of this kind of comes up. What are grapples, Isaac?
Grapples were like a kashrut nightmare. They were these things, I want to say it was like 15 years ago that some idiot came up with. I'm sorry, I don't have an opinion. It was an apple, and then they infused it with grape flavor. And I guess I never actually ate one, but I assume they weren't hextured because I don't remember seeing anything on the package. And I also assume that it made like the apple flesh purple. And it was yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be, obviously with any grape juice, I assume it was the juice they used and not just like that they, I don't know how else you would do it, but, I don't know, you change the DNA of the apple to taste like a grape.
No, it was definitely, it was not spliced in. It was added as a flavor.
It was before CRISPR. So
although apples do have very variable DNA, it's really cool. But that's
isn't that why they're able to grow so many different types, right? It's
yes, but any different type of apple you have that's like bred to taste good, it's clones. They just clone a certain strain of apple.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. So
I listened to a science history podcast that talked about apples in one episode. So
awesome. All right, let's keep going. See, who just read? Jacob just read. Maybe Yavni, take us. V'ahi de siman kuf bet, which we just did.
V'ahi de siman kuf bet, סעיף א', ואורח חיים סימן תף קוף י' ג', סעיף ג' דלבנו כולי, דלבנו, היינו דלהווה חשוב כבעין. Yain Sham. Aha, so this is answering our question about what the significance was of the whitening of the, is it according to him, it is considered be'ain. It is considered, okay.
It's like the mama show is almost there, right? It's like the real thing is there. Yeah. So but okay, good. And then maybe I'll take the end of it. I didn't give you very much yet. Yeah, take some more. I didn't give you very much so far.
ואני לא ידעתי אל מי מקודשים אפנה בדבר זה. I don't know which opinion to go with. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, he's like, there's like so many good opinions out here. There's all these holy voices on this matter, and I have no clue. So it's like, it makes me feel like, in class,
Yep.
people were a little confused about it. We had kind of an answer, but no one really knew, right? I wasn't there for that class actually, and it's like the Prima Gadim doesn't know. Right? He's gonna come up with an answer at the end, but he's not so sure like where to go with that. So all right, good. Yeah, finish up the last sentence.
Me?
Yeah, I'll do it. Gama pre-Torah ot gimel v'siman kufet natali divrei Minchat Yaakov de b'Yisrael chila lo shech chazutah yen sham. Right, and there's another source that goes like the Minchat Yaakov that in Israel chila chazutah is not a relevant matter. All right, yeah, and I'll just read. I've got 9 minutes. I'm gonna read the next piece if that's okay with people, just because I've seen it before and you guys haven't. All right, Be'etzalo Hadim. This is the end of the Pri Megadim. Hadim. Im livno ma'achal be'beitzat nevela b'mashkeh shekorin borscht. Right, Kamo she'osim beRussia shemalbinin bebeitzim. Right, I guess they whiten their borscht. We always did it with sour cream when I was a kid, but I guess it maybe that if you wanted to be part of you needed to do this. Yireli di'irbe od ad sheyeh chazutah betela. That you just like, he says you should add a whole bunch more until the chazutah is batel, right? If one of the eggs is bad, why? Right? Because it was an avela egg. Mechaber b'siman saritet, which we saw is good Chazarah Vav. Isur derabanan mosifim vatlo, right? V'chein yireh haskamat ataz sham. Right, the Mechaber said if it's an Isur derabanan, which he thinks Chazutah probably is, then you just add to it, and you can be mavatel it lechatchila. All right. Vel kol panim sfek have shema Chazutah b'derabanan lav milta. All right, that maybe fake one is that Chazutah b'derabanan isn't a thing. V'shema halacha k'Mechaber gemosif, and the second fake is that we follow the Mechaber, because remember that a lot of people were against the Mechaber there, right? That we follow the Mechaber, you can be mosif al Isur derabanan. So if Isur derabanan, if it is an Isur and it's derabanan, you can be mosif. And if it's not an Isur derabanan, maybe it's the second stuff fake. Maybe it's not even an Isur. So so we're okay. All right. It will be Isur Torah. All right, but that's for Isur Torah beitzat treifa. All right, ve'af treifa shnigmara miyad asur k'shel Torah. Asur. I'm not actually sure what the treifa shnigmara miyad that they made it like it was k'shel Torah, right? Ve'ein lo sif. Can move arbasiman salitet, but so that's if it was a beitzat nevela, it's one thing. But if it's beitzat treifa, right, that's asur midoraita. All right, umihu. All right, and im yesh beitzim kasherim uvelo kasherim lo haya chazutah. So what if there's a lot of beitzim, and some of them might be isurim, and some of them might not be. Right, this is the all right. Yireh le'atir af b'shel Torah. Right, even if it's an Isur Torah, then maybe we should even be permitted. Right, the lo adif mitama, it's no better than tam. The ein heter mitzaref le'isur. Right, that we don't say the tam of the heter comes with the combines with the Isur. So if like you don't have enough tam, if you add a bunch of eggs to something, and the Isur eggs, there's some Isur eggs and some permittable eggs, and the Isur eggs themselves don't have enough tam, but all the eggs together have enough tam to be recognizable. We don't say that the heter helps the Isur there, right? In this case, so same thing with chizutah. Ilu lo haya heter hamuat haya batel tam ha'isur. Right. So if it weren't for the heter, with the tam of the Isur would be gone. And so kol sheken bechazutah v'ayim hashem katavti b'pticha. There's all the more for chazutah. So here he's got some ways to kind of get yourself around it. So if it's Isur derabanan, you can add to it to get rid of the chazutah. If you've added a bunch of things and maybe some of it is asur, but not all of it, that might also be a way to get around it. But he seems to paskin at the end, the chazutah is a problem according to the Pri Megadim, even for things. So, and I added at the end there the Shulchan Aruch, which you see. Actually, maybe we should just do it just because I think it's kind of interesting. Alice, maybe read the Shulchan Aruch here.
Okay. Here. Good. כל מיני פירות שדרכן להתליע כשהם מחוברים, לא יאכל עד שיבדוק הפרי מתוכו, שמא יש בו תולעת. ואם שהה פרי אחר שנעקר י"ב חודש, אוכל בלא בדיקה. שכל בריה שאין בה עצם אינו מתקיים י"ב חודש. Okay, that's what you said before.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so all the perot, all the fruits that it's common that they get worms when they are connected to the tree, right? Like, or was it?
Yeah,
did I say
exactly.
correctly? Okay, so one shouldn't eat them until checks them inside. Maybe there is a worm, but if they were somewhere for 12 months, one can eat them without bdika, which I can imagine only like with figs or with I don't know what type of, well, maybe dried things, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Because every yeast, I don't know how to translate it here, which
Just call it birria. Yeah.
every birria which doesn't have she'enba etzem, which doesn't have like a pit here, or
I think he means a bone. I think he literally means like atzamot. But it's but maybe he means it doesn't have itself. I don't know, but I think it's bone. It's bone. Etzem etzmi.
really
Kind of
okay.
idea. Yeah.
So cannot stay for 12 months.
Although,
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Like he mean, okay, got it. Yeah, that's the worm. Right. Okay,
although
that's the worm which is without bones. Okay, so an insect and all this type of. Okay.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
So I was at a friend's place a few weeks ago, and fellow rabbinical student, and he was cutting his dates open and checking them, and he did find a few worms.
Wow. That's
so,
yeah. So what does he mean? Is a good question, but also,
yeah.
I don't know. If you're a brisket, it'd be like that's not a real worm. So, but it's funny. I don't think I've
How
ever
old were the
found anything.
dates?
Yeah, how old were the dates?
I don't know, but they're typically dried, right?
Well, did you say date or fig?
Date.
Yeah, so dates, they're not that dried. I'll say as someone who doesn't eat their dates very quickly, my friends who are date connoisseurs come over and are horrified, and my dates get very desiccated.
Okay.
And you're actually supposed to keep them or at least the ones I buy, they say to keep them in the fridge.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I don't know how old they were.
Yeah.
That's something to investigate next time.
Yeah. But it's funny. I never thought of dates as something that I need to check. So that's good. Maybe I should be checking my dates. No, it's okay. Like I should just, you take 3 dates out of the bag and check them, and then you're good. It's you can develop. That's the thing, right? You can create a chazaka at the end of the day. It's the same reason why, even though like an apple, right, you should maybe check to see if there's any holes in it or something like that.
Yeah.
Like if you eat an apple in the dark, you're allowed to take a bite out of it. Because there's a chazaka for apples that they don't. The stam apple doesn't have worms. It's kind of so we do have principles like that. So, but I have all sorts of different experience with different types of fruits and vegetables in terms of like when I found bugs and when I haven't. But Brussels sprouts I've had some trouble with in the past. Cauliflower, but lots to say on the topic. So. But also, I hopefully people saw. I sent that Aruch HaShulchan out. Where he really justifies the practice of his community, where they're not really paying attention to this, especially around flour. Flour is a big issue for them, right? Flour in the summer gets very buggy. I've once in my life actually found buggy flour. Okay, cool, good. I will stop my screen share. Hopefully this was helpful and informative. I'm sorry I wasn't as focused as I normally am, but
it was great.
Good. And yeah, next week we'll do Tam Lifgam in the Shulchan Aruch as we finished up in class. So, all right. Cool. Everybody have a great Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.